Michael Jordan transcended his basketball stardom to become an international legend. But behind every legend is a human being with all sorts of secrets. From his impressive bank statement to his tragic backstory, this is the untold truth of Michael Jordan. As of 2019, the Forbes list of billionaires placed Jordan's net worth at $1.9 billion, enough to make him one of the richest people in the United States. While those numbers are every bit as impressive as the ones he posted during his playing days, he made almost all of that money off the court. Jordan reportedly earned a total of $93.8 million from his NBA salary, not adjusted for inflation, with $63.3 million of that coming in his final 2 seasons with the Chicago Bulls. But the vast majority of his fortune came from a healthily diversified portfolio of endorsements and business holdings, raking in cash at an unprecedented level both while he was playing and after. One of Jordan's most lucrative endeavors is his ownership of the Charlotte Hornets, which he bought in 2010 for $275 million. They're now worth over $1 billion, and Jordan retains 90% ownership, significantly increasing his personal wealth. Of course, there's also his landmark partnership with Nike for Air Jordan, which still makes him more than $100 million a year in royalties. That's reportedly more than LeBron James is currently making between his NBA salary and endorsements combined. All of that income has made Jordan just one of 13 black billionaires in the world, and the first American professional athlete to ever hit that milestone, coming from humble beginnings to prove to fans worldwide that anything is possible. When you think of a sporting god like Michael Jordan, it's easy to imagine that he emerged a fully formed, hulking basketball deity straight out of the womb. But Michael's early years were anything but glorious. In fact, his childhood was spent trying to keep up with his older brother Larry, and he didn't make his high school varsity basketball team until his junior year.
Maybe I led you to believe that basketball was a God-given gift and not something I worked for every single day of my life.
According to Newsweek, in 1978, he was, quote, just another kid in the gym, trying out for the Elmsley A. Laney High School varsity basketball team. At the time, Jordan stood at only 5'10", not the 6'6" he would later grow to, and he wasn't physically impressive enough to secure a roster spot at the time. Jordan would later say that not making the team was an embarrassing experience. That night, he went home and cried, but his tears soon turned to resolve. According to Newsweek, Jordan said, "Whenever I was working out and got tired and figured I ought to stop, I'd close my eyes and see that list in the locker room without my name on it. That usually got me going again." Jordan did have a great sophomore season, putting up a few 40-point games and drawing crowds for his JV performances. He reportedly returned for his junior year 4 inches taller and with a better, much more developed skill set, going on to become the team's star player. His efforts led him to catching the attention of the University of North Carolina, where he would eventually rise to national acclaim. One of the most well-known aspects of Jordan's off-the-court activities involves his serious interest in serious gambling. A 2006 article by Bill Simmons for ESPN The Magazine put it, "There's a famous gambling story about Michael Jordan. Actually, there are many famous gambling stories about MJ. The story in question involves Jordan standing around at the airport with his fellow Bulls, waiting for the luggage from the trip to show up. As the story goes, he made an impromptu $100 bet with the other players that his bags would emerge on the conveyor belt first. After 9 other players on the team took him up on the bet, Jordan's bags appeared first, and he cackled all the way to the bank. What they didn't know is that Jordan had previously paid a baggage handler to help him out with this scheme, rigging the bet in his favor. As ultimately harmless as the luggage scheme was, Jordan's gambling may have had far greater consequences for his life and career, with some arguing that his first retirement from basketball was actually a cover-up for a gambling suspension.
Gambling is legal, and betting is legal. For what I bet, yeah, it's a little bit more than I wanted to lose.
According to Bleacher Report, Jordan was involved in an NBA investigation shortly before he announced his first retirement, fresh off winning the league championship for the 3rd year in a row. Considering he was still in his physical prime and generally hell-bent on winning as much as possible, this struck many as an odd time for a retirement. Amid allegations that he'd lost over $900,000 in gambling to one person, and he had to testify in federal court as to why a drug dealer had a check from Jordan for $57,000. Jordan claimed it was a gambling debt, and that he was seen in an Atlantic City casino the night before an Eastern Conference Finals game. Well, it wouldn't be too surprising if Jordan's retirement was a deal struck with League Commissioner David Stern, allowing him to preserve his image and the billions of dollars attached to it. Despite his incredible success, Michael Jordan's life hasn't been all sunshine and roses. Tragically, his father, James Jordan, was killed on July 23, 1993 in what is widely believed to have been a botched robbery. 3 years later, according to the Chicago Tribune, Michael said of his late father, "I think about him every day. I'm pretty sure I always will, every day of my life." Jordan had just won his third NBA championship in a row, and his father had a flight booked to Chicago the very next day. Unfortunately, he never made it. After being carjacked, shot, and robbed of the championship ring his son had given him, his teenage killers reportedly dumped his body in a creek. He was found curled over a tree limb in a South Carolina swamp with no identification, and cremated as a John Doe before Jordan's family had even gotten a chance to file a missing persons report. According to ESPN, Michael Jordan's family was a tight-knit unit. His father would do anything to help Michael out, including remodeling his townhouse while Michael was participating in an all-star weekend. Even after the money started coming in, the elder Jordan would reportedly never accept money from Michael to buy things that he could pay for himself. The news of his father's death devastated Jordan, who would end up taking time off from basketball to try his hand at baseball, a move which many believe was made in honor of his father. According to Jordan biographer Roland Lazenby, longtime Bulls coach Phil Jackson made that observation at the time, saying, "It was really his father's dream that he play baseball. His father wanted to play pro ball and did play semi-pro. When his father passed away, I think Michael was kind of living out his father's dream." In 1994, instead of lacing up a pair of Nike sneakers, Michael Jordan threw on cleats and reported to the Chicago White Sox AA squad, the Birmingham Barons. He hit a subpar .202 batting average that season and would return to basketball the following year, winning 3 more NBA titles in a row after he came back. While history looks back on Jordan's baseball days as something of a lark, people often fail to recognize the improvement Jordan displayed in his game throughout his season with the Barons. According to accounts from the time, he took batting practice 5 times a day until his hands were covered in blisters, and he checked his ego at the door. For some, including World Series winning manager Terry Francona, had Jordan stuck around longer, he would have been able to make it to the majors. Francona was quoted by ESPN in a 2019 article as saying, "He had it all: ability, aptitude, work ethic. He was always so respectful of what we were doing and considerate of his teammates. Granted, he had a lot to learn. I do think with another 1,000 at-bats, he would have made it."
I mean, talking competitive, intelligent, team, he had it all.
Leave it to Michael Jordan to make a Looney Tunes basketball mashup the most popular, highest-grossing basketball movie of all time. Released theatrically in 1996, Space Jam pulled in more than $90 million at the domestic box office and $230 million worldwide. But the merchandise sales brought in even more money, raking in over $1 billion in retail sales.
Let's play some basketball.
Jordan had actually collaborated with Bugs Bunny already by the time they ended up in a movie together. Before the making of Space Jam, the two icons partnered for a successful ad campaign for Nike titled Air Jordan. The original ad ran during the 1992 Super Bowl, featuring the pair balling out on the court and laying waste to challengers in ways that only a rabbit could get away with. The 6 months and $1 million it took to create the ad would end up being well worth the investment, and it seems Bugs Bunny could sense it, quipping at the end of the ad,
"This could be the beginning of a beautiful friendship."
Space Jam was much more than just a movie. It was a pioneer in integrated product placement and a visionary film when it came to leveraging the potential of the internet. Despite its 1996 launch, Space Jam had a dedicated website years before doing so would become a standard Hollywood practice. It was hardly noticed at the time, but as of 2020, it's still online, managing to live on as one of the best time capsules of early web design. For all his fame and fortune, Michael Jordan is still a man with straightforward interests. Among 2 of his favorites are cigars and westerns. That's right, after a long day of slaying the competition, there's nothing Jordan loves more than curling up to watch Gunsmoke in a cloud of tobacco smoke. Touchingly, Jordan's fascination with westerns comes from a childhood bonding with his father. Looking back on his life around his 50th birthday, Jordan told ESPN, "The thing we'd stay up all night and watch cowboy movies, westerns." Reportedly, Jordan hasn't lost the habit. According to ESPN, an employee of his once joked that she'd rather fly commercially than on Jordan's Gulfstream because of the non-stop westerns shown during the flights. Apparently, his all-time favorite is the outlaw Josie Wales. As for cigars, Jordan told Cigar Aficionado that his very first came after winning the 1991 NBA championship, which might explain why you can buy a pair of Air Jordan 7 cigar or champagne shoes. He soon took up smoking them while stuck in traffic on the way to home games in Chicago, which could take a stressful 90 minutes. Cigars helped Jordan relax, and they soon became a ritual before every home game. Jordan's net worth of $1.9 billion is higher than the gross domestic product of some entire countries. Much of that wealth has come from his main squeeze, the Nike Jordan brand. But in his prime, Jordan had his face on what felt like just about everything. Jordan had endorsement deals with McDonald's, Coca-Cola, Upper Deck Trading Cards, Gatorade, Wheaties, and a dozen others, all while also selling his own cologne, tequila, and steak sauces. But there were limits, even for him.
Stop it. Get some help.
Sports Illustrated quotes a 1992 interview with Playboy describing just where his line was drawn, at Beanie Weenies. As Jordan put it, "You ever heard of Beanie Weenies pork and beans? It was close to $1 million a year. I'm saying, Beanie Weenies? How can I stand in front of a camera and say I'll eat Beanie Weenies?"
Come on, Michael, it's game time. Get your Hanes on, lace up your Nikes, grab your Wheaties and your Gatorade, and we'll pick up a Big Mac on the way to the ballpark.
While you can't pay Jordan $1 million to talk about a big name in the pork and beans industry, you can definitely pay him to talk about Hanes, which he's been doing for over 30 years. If you think hard, you can probably conjure up a memory of Jordan looking like Mr. Clean with a pristine white tee and a notorious mustache. But that ad campaign reportedly ended up boosting sales for the brand, mustache and all, proving once again that you should never bet against Michael Jordan. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more grunge videos about your favorite athletes and sports legends are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.